took Ryan Anderson out of the play.
Well, Jared ball coming in
From behind.
And Wallace is pretty much following Darius Miller.
Salmon on the floor. Man, hopefully good news when we come back to Boston.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like I told him, I didn't see him. I don't know what happened or what the situation was.
It looked like you were shaking in the court. What's going through your head as just laying there for
I've been there. I've been on the floor for 2 or 3 times in my career. I know the feeling. I know what he's going through, the thought process. I mean, I know the whole 100 yards of him laying on the floor, waiting on the stretcher to come get you. So my whole thing was just, to see activity, see him talking, see him moving, and, it's the biggest precautionary reason. But like I said, I've been in that situation more than one time, so I just wanted to make sure that he was fine.
So you saw that Anderson collision with Gerald Wallace. He was on the ground for at least 10 minutes. Pretty serious injury, it appeared. It turns out it was a cervical stinger, which is a nerve injury in the neck.
Back of the neck.
So he's...
Should we demonstrate, Jared?
Yeah. Just tackle me on set. Yeah. Hey, we haven't done throw them bows yet. We'll get to that in part 3.
Too soon.
So we'll see if I make it through the show. But he went to the hospital. Gerald Wallace said that he didn't even really realize what was going on, but obviously they saw that he stayed down. Right. A lot of us didn't notice that. Just the collision happened, they called timeout, and then Anderson was still on the ground. It was kind of shocking. But Wallace talked about how he's been there before. He's been on the ground a few times. It was a pretty scary moment.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, absolutely. It reminded me of Marquise Daniels, except I thought that Daniels one was scarier because the way Daniels fell down.
It was like collapsed.
It was just he looked like he was paralyzed.
Yeah.
I never got the impression.
He was temporarily paralyzed.
Right, exactly. That's why it looked so scary. But
Anderson at least was kind of moving his neck, trying to get up.
He was conscious. It never looked like he was in extreme trouble. But then when he lay down there, the longer and longer he lay down there, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is more serious than I thought. At first, I thought maybe he just got knocked in the head, but it turns out it was the neck thing. I think it was like some serious whiplash or something. Jared Walsh is kind of like. It was kind of like a football play a little bit, you know.
He got tackled right here.
It's like tackling a defenseless receiver, you know what I mean, or something like that.
And they didn't throw a flag. I was surprised.
No flag. No. You know what? There was no flagrant foul or anything like that either. It was just an accident. Yeah. It's good that it was just a cervical stinger. I mean, I looked it up. It's not a serious injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I'm not going to speculate, but obviously, I think you can assume that he will be back.
Yeah. Well, you can't really judge how long someone's going to be out. Sometimes it's a bad pinched nerve. They're out for a few months.
Oh, really? Is that true?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if it's a serious pinched nerve, you're not going to be able to function for a while.
Right. And it means obviously you need if it's going down your arm and all that stuff. Then obviously he's a shooter, and he's such a great shooter. He really is one of the best shooters in the NBA.
He is. And he was having a good game too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was having a good game. I was ready to talk to him after the game about him wearing number 33 and just asking him why. I was hoping that it was because of Larry Bird, and I would have had a sweet story on that. But whatever, that unfortunately the injury happened.
You can go visit him bedside at the hospital and ask him.
Can't believe he's so selfish.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it was scary to see, but all the news that we got anyways is that he'll recover. He'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean Gerald Wallace said post game that Anderson said as he left that he'd be okay. So that was very encouraging to hear, and just got hope for the best.
He flipped the thumbs up, which is the universal sign for hey, I'm not paralyzed, guys. So that was good.
And you have to wonder when they lose their best shooter like that, the Celtics really should have probably taken advantage of that, knowing having that player off the court for the Pelicans. I mean, I don't think it did much to either team mentally because I think they all had an idea that he was going to be okay, because he was talking and stuff. I just feel like the Celtics missed an opportunity there to take advantage of that situation.
Well, the thing is, it meant that Greg Steamson had to play more, and Greg Steamson went 6 for 7 from the field and had a really good game that day. So they had to call in the backup to replace Anderson. He actually was one of the best players of the game for the Pelicans.
Yeah, Steamson, like we said earlier, was a big last-line defense at the basket. He stopped Bradley from getting that layup in the final minute. He's a great player who can really do a lot of things to help the Pelicans. Anderson, he's a great player. He's a good sixth man. He's a bench guy, though. And the Pelicans were their 5 best guys down the stretch, and they were fine without him.
He's a bench guy. He's a shot blocker. He's not going to give them... I mean, this was a season high, the 12 points for him tonight. I mean, they don't expect him to score for them. I think he's there for a reason. Clog the paint, get rebounds, block shots. Yeah. And, they'll take the points because they obviously needed it tonight. It was a close game, but... It's one of those things.
Okay, so another guy that is not a bench player, he's the key guy for the Celtics, Jared Sullinger. He has the hand brace. took it off in the fourth quarter, and then promptly went 0 for 7 from the field in that quarter. But
It wasn't like LeBron headband. game
Exactly.
where he took a
Not
headband down.
exactly.
It
But
just
he
off.
he went 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He had was it 9 offensive rebounds?
Yes.
Was the number
9,
there?
yeah.
That's amazing. 9 offensive rebounds
That
in one
is.
quarter, going up
hand.
against Anthony Davis.
I don't think it was
with
all one
hand.
quarter.
No, it wasn't one quarter.
Okay. It
9
was
offensive rebounds
I think it was
total in the
I think
game.
it was 6 in the fourth quarter.
I think it was like 6
Which is-
rebounds overall.
which is still
in the
very
fourth quarter,
impressive,
Which is
six in
Nine
the fourth quarter.
offensive rebounds for a game is very impressive.
So Jared Sullinger
There he
is the heart and soul of this team right now. He's going through a hand injury.
Is he?
Who else is? By
Chris
process of
Humphries.
elimination.
No.
Get out of here.
Well, he's earned his place lately. That's for
Right.
sure. But how did Sullinger affect this game, Evans? And how much better were they when he started to kind of get into beast mode once he angrily ripped off his handguard there?
I mean, if you're asking me how he affected the game, he shot 3 of 17. I think that answers the question for you. If he shoots, 7 of 17, they win this game easily. But 3 of 17, that kills you. If it's because of the injuries that he's been so inefficient offensively lately, then I think they need to sit him down for a little while. It's better to rest him for a couple of games and get him back at full strength than to keep him going like this, because they're not going to win a lot of games on this West Coast road trip if they got Sullinger shooting 3 for 17 every night.
But they're probably not going to win a lot of games if Sullinger's not playing either.
Yeah, but you get him back, maybe bring him back when he's back home playing the Rockets next week, and maybe he's back to the old Jared Sullinger, because right now he really seems to be laboring out there. He's a hard-working player. He's still going to get rebounds, like you said, but he needs to be an efficient scorer for them. I mean, they really, really need that offensively. They're not getting it right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I don't know if they should sit him for the entire West Coast.
Yeah,
trip.
maybe not the entire. Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, he said it's the injury's not getting better, but it's not getting worse. It's just kind of staying constant. Well, that's because you're playing. bro.
Yeah.
You're getting hit on the hand. This is basketball. You use your hands all
And
the
Steven
time.
just emphasizing the risk is if he gets hit on the hand again.
Right.
pretty
It's like,
badly,
okay.
could make
yeah,
it worse.
Why is there any risk? There shouldn't be any risk here. This is a guy that you want on your team for a very long time. What's the problem here? I mean, you have Humphries, you have you have guys.
Yeah, Favarani
you have
was not playing.
he's not
I mean,
playing at
And
all.
Basso had a great game
You
for
have
the most
that.
part in the first half.
You can make up for Sullinger. I mean, it's not an ideal situation. You want Sullinger in the game, but like you said, when he's shooting 3 for 17, that's not helping the team. I mean, the rebounds are great. You like his physicality down low, but you don't want him in there shooting 3 for 17. You don't want him in there if he's going to take a Kendrick Perkins slap on the hand on Sunday, or is it Sunday they play?
I think so.
Yeah,
And,
I think it's
Perkins
Sunday
is the guy to do it. If
Yeah,
anyone's gonna
and I'm
do
not
it.
saying they're doing it on
Yeah.
purpose, but listen, any opposing team knows that if the guy's here with an injury, you go after that. You make him think twice about driving to the hoop next time. Make him think out there, make him feel uncomfortable, and I'm sure that's in the scouting report. So I agree. I think you should sit, especially if the injury's not getting any better. It's a bone bruise. It's a bruise.
I think it's a bruise.
It's a
yeah.
bruise, and if you keep poking at a bruise, it's not going to get any
gonna
better.
hurt
Yeah,
more.
it's going to get worse.
Yeah, like you said, there's no point in taking a risk with a guy who you want to be your franchise cornerstone
Yeah.
player for years and years. Like, you don't want to risk this becoming a worse thing. And
Right.
it just seems like sitting him is a no-brainer at this point. You can get the rebounds and the energy temporarily from Chris Humphries. You can get Sullinger back in the future, and he'll be okay. How much of this goes back to just Brad Stevens not being willing to put his foot down and say no to the guy? I mean, we know that Stevens is a player's coach, and he's a guy that the players like.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because he's not going to, put his foot down and say no in a situation like this, and maybe that's a bad thing.
That might be, but I mean, the medical staff is saying he can play, and what is Stevens going to do? I don't know.
There's a difference between can play and should play, and that's what we're talking about right now, is that difference. And
Okay.
maybe Stevens needs to say something. I don't know.
That could be it.
Maybe tonight prompts a reevaluation, especially because he took off the band or the brace. They know he needs to play
Right.
with it.
He was wearing
obviously,
it
to
after the
protect it.
game again.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. So we're going to go to part 3, boxing out, baller of the night. We'll be right back. Garden Report, Celtics blog, and CLNS Radio.
Brad blew it up. We had a lot of options, and it was just a bad shot on my part. It didn't help. I still felt the pain, so I wanted to just feel it all the way.